Are you ready to get provoked? You're listening to Can I Live, a show created to excite, ignite, and expose. Let's tune in with your host, R.W. Jones. Welcome to the Can I Live podcast. I'm your host, R.W. Jones, and we have the wonderful Glenn Warren and Anthony James. And so today we're talking about the art of co-parenting. And I know it sounds corny because we're so used to just that gut punching type, in your face, but the truth of the matter is our families, these Black and brown families out here, our families are being destroyed in these streets. Our families are dying. Our children are grown up without fathers. Our, youth are being sent to juvenile detention centers at alarming rates. Our fathers are behind bars. Our uncles are, the men are just exiled from our families, single moms, raising children alone. And if I go to another vigil, which I ain't even going, if I see and hear about another death and one more of our sons, why mother, what mother are you next? Like, what mother has to be next on the who shot your committee? I don't know, but God forbid, it can't, I pray that it's none of us. But it's like, that has become like the story of our life. You get shot, you get the t-shirt, rest in power, you get the teddy bears and the candles at the corner, and the teddy bears get dirty and dusty after a while. You get the broke down balloons, and then everybody go on about their business. You live in pain, hate, unforgiveness, all this stuff, and then until the next person gets shot, and then you do that shit all over again. And it's like, that's played out. Are we not tired of that drama, that saga? Because it all comes down to some fundamental principles that you've heard on this podcast before. And so tonight we're talking about the art of co-parenting. Why? Just because you hate them. Like, what if you hate them? We're going to talk about that. And I'm going to put myself on the chopping block. And I think everybody here, even those that are joining us from Facebook and live stream and our live studio audience, what if you really, really just totally dislike them? Can you still co-parent? Like Glenn says, when love is not enough. But can love, real love. Now let's talk about real love. The patient, love is kind. Love is patient, love is kind. It's not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrong. It doesn't boast. It doesn't dishonor. You know what I'm saying? It's not self-seeking. All of that things. It always hopes, perseveres, trusts. That love is enough. Because that's the love that our Savior, our Father died for. That love is enough. And what is it? The word says that perfect love casts out all fear. So maybe we just don't really know what love is, because I believe real love is enough. Now, maybe not what we're showing in these little relationships where we say we love each other. No, that's not enough. In fact, that's not even love. But can we be, I want to say, peaceable, reasonable? Can we function enough on a minimum level? And we're going to find out on a minimum level, what would that take? On a basic Sesame Street 1, 2, 3 level, what is it going to take to just co-parent in a very, very, in the most sound, effective way to bring about the best, environment and impact for our children. So Glenn, I'm gonna probably start with you. If we had to say, now I'm gonna put myself out there on the block, because guess what? I promise you, I told you guys this before. I would have told all of my baby daddies, I had 3 of them, 4 kids, 3 baby daddies, 4 boys, 3 baby fathers. And all I wanted was a father for my children. Where on the Anthony side, you was a father for your children, and you had women who would keep you from your children. And so I'm trying to understand, if one of them came to me probably back then and really came to me heart to heart, first apologized, repented, and said, I'm sorry for just leaving you holding the bag. Can you forgive me? I would have absolutely said yes. How can we co-parent? I would have been team dad all day. And so who is supposed to start this conversation? Is it the father's responsibility, Glenn, or is it the mom's? Who's supposed to start the whole conversation of healthy co-parenting, or just the ability to try?
It's supposed to be both parents. I wish that, education, we've been talking about this a lot. Education is the key to a lot of things. And both parents need to be educated that beyond your the separation from each other, you separate from each other, but not your kids. And there needs to be some tips or some education on how to be an effective co-parent. And when I use the title, "When Love Is Not Enough to Break Another Child," the love was for not for each other, the love was for their child. Because both of them say, "I love my kids."
True.
But your love for your kids has not stopped you from putting your kids in the middle of your fight. So if you could love your kids so much, you will keep them out of your marital affairs. Like for the
What would
guys,
step number one be? What would the first step be? What would
sit
be
down.
the first step?
The both parents. One of the ladies that one of my coworkers, I write about this. She said her and her husband signed a gag order that says neither one of them could talk about the other parent in front of their kids. She said, "I wanted to cuss them out, and I did cuss them out, but I never cussed them out in front of my kids." That should be the first thing. They should have a commitment to one another. We don't like each other, that's well and good. But I'm not going to talk bad about you in front of our son and our daughter. And the father and the mom come up with that same thing, and they stick with it. That would be the number one word to start. So
That is what is that, an agreement of the do's and don'ts of
yes,
how we
that would
would
be,
engage?
that would be. I'm putting together now because a book called The 10 Commandments of Co-parenting, and that's gonna
I
be one
love
of
it.
them. That's gonna
Not
be
the
one of
10
them.
crack commandments, not that.
Not the 10, no, the 10 Commandments of Co-parenting. So that would be number one. They have to come to some kind of conclusion that this relationship is not working out, whatever reason. That's all well and good. But we got to make a commitment to one another that we're not going to talk bad about our kids in front of the other parent.
So what if they can't even get to the table? They want to do it, but if they try to get at the table and they start going back and forth with you and me and this and that, do you then suggest what, a mediator?
Well, I do coaching now for single couples, not singles, but divorced couples, and they're trying to get their life together as far as co-parenting. So I give them some tips on how to be an effective co-parent. I meet with the woman separately, I meet with the men separately, and then I have a joint section together, where if they are committed to one another, and when we come together, when they start to blaming one another, I just scratch that. This is not what this is about. This is about for the welfare of your kids. This is not about you.
So why do you do it just for married couples? Why not for
Not married couples, but couples that are separating. They're divorced. Not married couple. I mean, I do for not married couple. For this is for kids, couples that have divorced now, reaching out to me and saying, "Hey, we need some help co-parenting." And a lot of times it's the man that reach out, or the woman reach out, and the other parent agree to it. And some of them don't. They're like, I ain't got nothing. I don't want to be in the same room with the SOB. All that stuff because they're mad with them, they're angry, but they're not willing to put that aside. You know what? And to be honest with you, I'm not. Some of them have a right to be that way. The man done dogged her out, left her for her best friend, ain't paying no child support. I understand that pain, but you cannot put that and your kids be affected by that. You got to put that stuff aside. You need to get some help working on forgiveness and the man the same way. There's some men out there that they are angry themselves because their women had an affair on them and left them for another guy. And they're angry and mad. And I understand.
Oh, you mean to tell me all this anger, so much anger that you can't even see your child because I might have cheated on you? I'm gonna need you to go get
that's what it started.
Peter, Joseph, Mary, and Samuel.
But it's also hurt and pain. Hurting people hurt people. They're hurting because they thought you was this night, Brian, you were this. We was gonna be together for the rest of our lives. And it's
Yeah, but
not
I don't
told
think
them.
that's the case for everybody because everybody didn't think it was gonna be together. Some was just a straight booty call that was
Exactly.
not supposed to end
Exactly.
up for
Exactly. So you got the one night stand, or you got the, y'all just got together and she got pregnant, and now you got this kid to raise. A lot of men get mad now because he wanted her to get an abortion. And she's like, I'm not getting an abortion. I'm not doing it. I'm not aborting my child. And then they come to me because they're mad and they say, I'm mad because I didn't have a choice in the matter. And I said, you did have a choice in the matter.
Yep.
You chose to have unprotected sex. That was your choice.
Yep.
Now she chooses now to keep this child, and she have a right to too as well. So she's gonna live with her choice. You're running away from your choice because you're saying
All
now,
right.
you know what? I don't want the child, so I'll leave him to you to raise.
So we have an agreement on paper. Now getting those two to the table in the beginning is going to be, difficult because there are some of us that have just such great, strong, just vengeful feelings
Yeah.
against the other person.
Yeah.
However, when you think about your mate, here's tip number one. If you think about your mate and your heart is inflamed with fire, go and repent. Just fall to your knees and ask the Lord or whoever you pray to, Buddha, Allah, whoever you pray to, ask them to just take everything within you out of you. Everything of hate, evil, anger, malice, frustration, bitterness, envy, jealous, hurt, pain, all of it. Just take it, just ask them to remove it. Now, of course, you could say that, and some people will get off the floor angry up.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's like, Anthony, I'm sure there's many times. So I mean, to me, the difference is the Holy Spirit, that's me. It got to really be somebody on the inside checking you and convicting you, instructing you, cleaning you up from the inside out. However, what would you say could be a more practical attempt if I said, that if your heart is enraged with fire, because I'm sure there was many times your heart was enraged with fire when you were just trying to be a father for your children, to your children. What were practical things that you did to help to quench that flame of vengeance that you could have sought, but you never did?
Well, I just pretty much, I kept my children before me. You know what I mean? And before the situation that was at hand, because I just thought about their situation and their well-being, not just their welfare, because I was giving money. The money was coming from all angles. But at the end of the day, I just felt bad because they in the middle of that situation. And I said, man, I don't even live in the house with them. I'm outside of the situation. So I know they got to be going through some hell when they lay down in the bed and they figuring, dang, my mommy and my dad is going at it and they don't know what to do. So that's what really, really helped me stay grounded, other than God, the spirit of God keeping me grounded. Because a lot of anger was there, a lot of resentment was there, a lot of, I thank God it never hit hate. Hate never hit my heart. I thank God for that. Nah, hate never hit my heart.
Even for a second?
Nah, I disliked like crazy.
Ooh, I hate it. I was about to kill somebody.
Nah, hate never hit me. Because if hate hit me, I know me. You know what I'm saying? It would have been violence involved because that's how bad it was. But because of the saving grace that I had with God, the relationship I had with God, I'm gonna say that my kids, I had to put my kids out there. I had to put them like, man, listen, I know I'm feeling bad, but how are they feeling? So if I'm feeling bad and I'm an adult,
yeah. So putting the kids,
children, how are they handling that hurt? You know what I mean? Because kids hurt too now. They hurt. That's why they act out. That's why they silently, you don't know what kids are going through behind doors, why you there, why y'all two going at it. And so that's what really kept me really. And then I was told to, refer to the court system. That's the only thing that helped me too. The court system did help me because I went with my white flag. I was like, listen, I need help, man, because this is ugly right now. So they did assist me, told me how the right channels to go about doing it. So I followed those ways and it happened. The only thing that I did not like with the court system was the mediation part. I think it was one-sided. The children had a law guardian, automatically protected the woman and the kid, not just the child, the woman too, because the child is with the woman. So I was like, can we all sit down and have a conversation? They was like, nah, you need a lawyer. I was like, wow, if I had a lawyer, man, I mean, if I could, afford a lawyer at this point, I probably wouldn't be in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a lot of mechanics, but like I said, the number one was the child, my children. That was more important than anything.
So you said something, and I'm interested because remember last week we said, hey, how come the people on the child support rolls are mostly African-American males? Right. And they're not necessarily maybe dead broke more than they're dead beat. But you just said if I had the money to afford an attorney, I would have just paid for an attorney, which then tells me that the issue we're speaking of is not an issue that wealthy people think about or not think about. It's not an issue that wealthy people really kind of endure to this degree. So because an attorney would have just come in and just would have swiped. And this is what I don't understand. Because if an attorney is required and necessary for men dealing with child support, why not allow the free attorneys to help men in this area? Maybe that's something we need to also advocate, Glenn, for policy change. If we can help put their asses in jail, we need to help keep them out.
Right.
Well, I mean, when the guys go before the judge, they have to have a court-appointed attorney. So they have one to advocate them while they're in the courtroom.
I've seen many men show up without an attorney at all.
I'm talking about child support issues. I'm not talking about. See, the other thing is.
That's what I'm talking about for child support.
Child support before they go for in North Carolina. Before you go before the judge in criminal, you have to have a lawyer to represent you.
So that's why they give. But now you're talking criminal, not before it gets criminal, because then it's criminal. So if it's criminal because you broke the law, then you get the lawyer. But what about when it's not criminal and it's what at child support? What is it considered? Civil, family?
Civil, yeah, civil, yeah.
CBD.
Civil contempt, yes.
Civil. So at civil, you don't get the attorney. Mind you, how many cases turn from civil to criminal? I promise you there's some stats on.
Well, there's a lot of them because in the civil contempt, the person who's on civil contempt doesn't do what they asked him to do. Now it turns to criminal because they've asked him to do something, like pay his child support. If he doesn't do it, then it turns to be criminal.
Okay, so pause right there. So wait a minute. So pause. Because the system is asking him to do something that he should be doing. But what if he don't have the ability to do?
Well,
meaning, hold on, he doesn't have the ability to pay what the courts believe he should be paying. He has no high school diploma. He only got no job. He can pay $5 a week. That's all he can pay. Why is that? That's not enough.
Well, because
and I'm not mad because if you come with me to
I've been in. I mean, not having a job is not an excuse for not paying your child support. Again, no, it's not. It is not. And there's a good reason why. Because I could say I don't have a job. I could be working under the table. So I won't pay my child support. That's not an excuse. You can't say I don't have a job. You can say that for the next 30 years. I don't have a job. I'm not gonna pay my child support. That don't hold water. And my dad said, that dog don't hunt. You got ability to work 40 hours a week at minimum wage that base your child support on that.
Can I say this? Now I get all of that, right? I get all of that. Lock up. If you don't do what you're supposed to do. But what about the child? What are we talking about the child? Even if a person comes on his own now and says, this is what because everybody doesn't get remanded to jail or everybody doesn't get, sometimes a person, even if you see they're wrong and they say, you know what? Okay, I don't have all the money. I have some of the money. What's the problem with that? Okay, you broke the law. Ain't the system supposed to be trying to help you like get some type of clarity on how can I make this right? If the person is saying, at least I think, give that person some type of at least try to go get some money or go do something. They don't do that half the time. They just put you in a situation where, okay, you're this type of person, so now this is what we're gonna bring to you. If you don't have this certain amount of money, boom, bailiff, come do what you got to do. And I think that's too much. I get what you're saying. The child is supposed to make your payments. I get that.
My pushback to that is, in the last 10 years I've been in child support court, before you get to criminal court, they have walked through a lot of this. You don't have meetings upon meetings upon meetings upon
That is not true, Glenn. Where is you at?
I'm in child support court. Well, I'm in child support court for the last 10 years and I see what happened. This is not based on what somebody told me. I'm watching this.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna be honest with you. No disrespect. This is a slave state, North Carolina.
Well, again,
North Carolina don't have no mercy on nothing.
No, North Carolina is a whole lot better than some states.
No, I'm not saying it's. I'm just saying it's some states like that too. But North Carolina, man, if you go in there, you can be on your knees and like, okay, let me use me for an example. Okay. Because I can explain better. When I was going through what I was going through, I petitioned, not them. They didn't pull me in the court. I petitioned, Your Honor, this is what I can do. I know I'm behind. You know what I'm saying? They didn't have to run me down. They never had to run me down. It was the woman that went in the court and lied, literally lied, and they took her word and investigated me without investigating the woman. You see what I'm saying? Investigate two parties, not one. This woman didn't even have to show where she got money from. She tripled my money with it, what she was making on her job based on what I was making. Man, she didn't have to show no identification. Only thing she showed her identification, but as far as her jobs and all that stuff, whereabouts, none of that happened. But they rinked me down to the ground and like, whoa. And you would thought I owed $30,000, $40,000 to this woman.
Okay. So let me say something before you.
See how this conversation has shifted.
We were talking about the article.
No, hold on. It started out talking about the man and the woman getting together. Now we shifted to the system. And that's what we do.
Because it's both.
Exactly. But what now we're focusing on, how do we co-parent together?
Right.
Yeah. So the fact that now it's like, what do we do as couples? And a lot of times we want the system to fix a problem they're not designed to fix.
A mediator. What about a mediator?
Yeah, mediators do work that way, yeah. But the mediator works that way. But the mediator can't fix y'all issues. They could talk about it.
Okay.
But if you two still are fighting and still not getting along, a mediator can't do that.
Again, what I'm saying is,
we're looking for other people. We're looking for other people to solve our problem.
But wait, let me ask you this. I get you, Glenn. I get it. But what I'm going to say is, how come all the fat people that couldn't lose weight got to opt in for weight loss surgery? They could have sure enough went out there and exercised. They could have ate carrot sticks all day and night. They could have put them Twinkies down. We could have, because I done had weight loss surgery, but I needed help and intervention, and there was somebody there, because I'm sure it was an interest to them to create weight loss surgery because they could charge an arm and a leg for it. But what I'm saying is, you're asking people to do something that they don't have the capacity to do, but you still want them to do it.
They do have the capacity. They choose not to. You have the capacity to get along.
I guess I could have lost the weight. I could have.
No, we're talking about losing weight now. People have the
capacity. Making an analogy.
People have capacity to get along. They choose not to because they're angry and mad with one another.
Right. And Glenn, you're one. Listen, I'm in agreement with you, Glenn, with that. But what I'm saying is this: you have to. The system has to bend. I don't care if there's two out of control. Then that's why there's a system. That is why there is a system. But it cannot be one-sided. It cannot be one-sided.
I get that, but the mediator, you sit in front of a mediator and they give y'all some tips to do, and you still don't do it. Is the mediator's fault?
No. But I'm saying it's you very rarely see a mediation in these child support courts. That's what I'm saying.
So here's but Glenn has said it many times before. So here's the deal. Here's what I know. When I was working in juvenile correction, and they all were, 160 girls, right? 158 of them African American, all in the juvenile detention center. 158 of them were from single family homes, all in the juvenile detention center. 158 of them were dropouts, all in the juvenile detention center. 158 of them were committing crimes. That's why they was in the juvenile detention center. Now, I could have stood right there in the juvenile detention center and said, you guys need to stop creating a crime because you guys have the wherewithal to go to school and get your education and do right and get a successful job and go to college so you can earn more. I could have gave that speech because why? They had the capacity to do better. They had the capacity to not steal. They could have made better decisions, but there was something underlying. It was a systemic, it was a trend. And so throughout the last 20 years of me having to try to unravel that was not an accident. Just like all the people in your court system that you see day in and day out, there are trends. And they're African American. They probably have little to no education. They probably, if they finish school, have some kind of, unfavorable background. They're trends. And you cannot just address the problem head on without looking at the trends that cause this person to be who this person is today, which is making up the breakdown, or is causing this huge it's feeding this virus in our United States of America. It's feeding the correctional enterprise system. It's feeding the criminal justice system. It's putting money and people in private schools to college because they're lawyers, they're district attorneys, they're prosecutors, they're judges, they're you know what I'm saying? So it's feeding a system. And we cannot look at that. You cannot just not look at that.
When we do look at that, and we look at that, all of that, at the same time, just because you're a victim of the system, you don't get a pass by not paying your child support. You don't get a pass for not.
So what about, okay, we're gonna pause for it because I believe you. I believe we always, at the end of the day, we come back to the same thing of what we do know is true. That is true. You don't get the jackass pass. So what about their jackass pass? Where is their jackass pass? Show me the jackass pass when they created this shit from the beginning.
You know what?
Where they passed that? Who the hell is holding them accountable?
I don't. You know what? To be honest with you, I'm gonna let y'all have that dog in that fight. My fight is teaching these guys how to get along one another. And
I mean, you probably need them. I'm not gonna say you don't need them both.
And that's what I'm gonna stick with. Y'all
right. But you know what?
But wait. Hold. So you telling me you ain't gonna ever come your tail on this side of the fence and be able to say, yeah, we gotta hold them accountable. You want a whole law that's gonna put all the fatherhood programs in order. So they need to come through the courts to come through your program. What is that?
No, I agree with all of that. All you guys are doing, y'all work on policies, and I can help you give you some suggestions on what the policy you could change. I'm gonna let y'all do that. That's your fight. I'm gonna let y'all do that.
Like this is the
deal. We're not saying one or the other, Glenn. We're not saying we stay over here, you stay over there. We're saying just like we know it's personal responsibility. Anthony had to take responsibility. I had to take responsibility.
Right.
You took it. Your wife took it, or your ex-wife took it. So yes, we're not circumventing that, but what we're saying is you can't just use that and only that alone.
Well, Raquel, let me say this, right? When I went through what I went through, I was not 100% perfect in what I did. I made some bad decisions, and because I didn't know the system, I didn't understand the system. I didn't know the woman that I thought I knew. I didn't think she would drag me through the mud like that, but because I'm not the deadbeat dad. So at the end of the day, I still didn't do some things. I got sick. I had pneumonia. Could not pay. Could not. I had a big incision in my throat. They drugged me to court, not them, her. She said, oh, no. Like you said, it was her, like me and her. It was our issue. But when she took it to them, they took it and ran with it, didn't care about my sickness, they didn't look at the fact that I got a track record of paying child support. I got a track record of buying school clothes. I got a track record of spending time with my children. So in that regard, when they locked me up, they didn't even care if I had a job to come back home to, nor did I have a house to go back home to. They didn't care nothing about that. They were just like, yo, this is your punishment, eat it.
So
And
let me
that's
ask you
what I'm
this,
talking about.
Glenn, would it then be fair to say that a key to co-parenting could be that both of them should come together to realize that the system is not their friend, the system is not coming to their rescue, and that they asses going to have to get themselves out of this because they got themselves in it?
The reality of it is, the reality is, only 10% of people in Wake County are going to the child support court. That's the reality. The other 90% are co-parenting.
Well,
And
but look at
they're
the
doing
trends
it.
of
They're
10%.
doing it very well because they have made a choice.
I want to see them stats.
I'm telling you, go look them up. It's
I'm
only
gonna look them up.
It's only a handful of people in the whole scheme of
They ain't
things.
no handful.
No, when you compare the population of Raleigh, of North Carolina, of Wake County, to how many people are in the child support court, compared to how many people have got divorced, you'll see that number very small.
But yeah, because I bet you what you're gonna find a correlation of. Just like you got the whole nice little city of Raleigh, God bless their heart, and all of the little nice little white, all of rich people that got their own homes. I bet you what you're gonna see in your trends of your 10%, they ain't homeowners.
You know what?
They ain't college graduates.
Right.
But you know
They
what?
ain't college graduates.
There's
They
a whole lot
probably
of
have had, wait a minute, they from single family homes. They probably have had some innings with the law at some point in time in their life. And so this is the festering virusy thing that this
Right.
is the trend that
Right.
talks about a bigger issue. This child support thing is just a piece of an issue. It's
Right.
just a piece of an issue.
I get
Because
that.
guess what? I promise you, if Black men were given the opportunities to take care of their families, and if we were not robbed, cheated, stolen from, and exiled, and prevented from taking care of our kids, and we were able, and our pathways to prosperity was not obstructed, we would be better fathers. We would
What
be
about
better community leaders. We would be better.
What about those of us are doing this? What about those folks like you who had background? What about the people who had a lot of issues? They're not these. What we're talking about? What about all the other Black people? Other people who grow up in poverty? What are they doing? Everybody's not in the system because they made a choice.
But that's what. Listen, we're not out here. We don't exist for them. We exist. This whole initiative, your whole program exists for this population. People who.
Right.
But that's why we here. Everybody we touch. We exist to touch those. We're called to these people. So who cares about what other people are doing? Because if it was something that was a model and a best practice, then hell, the next door neighbor can go tell homeboy from down the street, just need to do this.
I've had people
and get your life together.
6 figures. Just because you make money and got ability to pay your child support. I've had athletes that come in that program.
Now, how many is that though? Compared to the whole, what's that percentage?
The issue is they made a choice not to take care of their kids, just like this other guy did. That's the common denominator.
But we talking stats, Glenn. Compared to your 10%, you just said 10% is the ones not paying. But now, out of the 10% not paying, how many of them are wealthy athletes making over 6 figures? Not a lot.
But there's a whole lot of rich people. There's a lot of rich people getting divorced and not paying their child support.
Well, of course, because their child support is like $800,000 a month. I get it. I get it.
If you're making $80,000, what's $800 a month? I
said 800,000. You're a millionaire. You probably, if you trust me, 80,000, you paying $800 in child support. You paying way more than that. I was getting that, and it was breaking probably 50.
But you know what? This is a fight. This is a dog fight. That's what it is. But at the end of the day, with the system and all that, but what we were talking about really was the parenting, the co-parenting. Exactly. Which that's what
I know,
but really
other people on Facebook, they said, somebody said, Willie Anderson said, what about the children? What about the children? What about the children? What about the children?
That's what we're talking about. But we'll go over it because it's easy to blame all these other stuff. It's easy to blame the system, the white man, all the stuff. It's easy to blame that.
We don't know now one white man that isn't responsible. I could probably I got a few names, but I got a few names of some Black men too. Oh, yeah. Not just white men and Black women.
It's easy to blame other people. That's why we gravitate to that.
I be hating when Glenn be right. I hate it.
But you know what? It's not, the thing is, it's a right and a wrong what we're talking about. So we're trying to hone in on the right. You know what I mean? I think the right thing to do is to continue to get two people together, which that's probably the hardest thing to do. And it's just a strategy that has to happen because, again, the kids, and while we having these discussions, while we thinking what we thinking, what do you?
The kids, but that's Glenn said when love is not enough.
When we get, I don't know if you guys grew up or not, but when I grew up, my mom and dad, especially my mom, if we acted up, my mom would send us to the woods to get a switch. I don't know if y'all know about switches or not.
Oh yeah,
there was an art to get the switch.
Country, that's country. We had
that's country. I know you don't know about that.
Oh, that's New York too. Nah, we got braided switches.
There was art to getting a switch. You didn't get one too big, and you didn't get one too small. My mom was a big woman, so I wanted to get her at least 2 or 3 licks before it broke, because she's satisfied that she brought some pain to me, and I'm satisfied that I minimized the pain. So we both happy. The thing is, 2 things I always remember. Number 1, the switch always hurt, and number 2, the switch always broke. So remember that. So when the parents are putting their kids in the middle of their fight, the kid become the switch. Number 1, it hurts the other parent. And number 2, the switch always broke, which is the kids.
Right.
And we're breaking our kids every day because of our, I won't say inability to co-parent, but our not willingness to co-parent. We have the ability, but we choose not to. Because
maybe we don't. Maybe we don't. Maybe the capacity, just because you're human doesn't mean you have the capacity.
You have the
capacity. But nah, you're right. You know what?
School.
I'm gonna agree with Glenn when he said that the kid, that's what I'm on. The kids are being broken. And so as adults, we still children too. Some of us
are. Okay, stay right there. Hold on. You just said something. Okay. Y'all want to go around this bunny tray? I'm gonna go right on there, hop on it. Boom. Kids broken. The switch. Switch. Kid broke. Guess what? Broke kid turned into a broke ass man. He broke. So how come we get the pass? The kid was broke. Broke kid never got repaired. Now he broke man. Broke man don't have capacity to hold fullness because he broke. Now what you gonna do?
Broke men do have capacity because that broke man do the same thing as his broke father did. He do have the capacity. That's why education is so important.
He's broken. How do you now repair the brokenness?
Yes, he's broken, but who broke him? The sister didn't break him.
No, the parents broke him. Exactly. So what I'm saying is, obviously, that is the underlying current that broken people break people. Broken people break people, right? Hurt people. So here's the current. Where do we start to fill the gap when you're dealing with a whole bunch of brokenness?
Right. Right, because I see what you're saying, because at some point, when are we going to stop saying they own up? They have to own up to what they done. You know what I mean?
This is why, right. So what I'm just saying is, it's one thing to put this whole model in context when you're saying mommy and daddy used the child and they're the switch, and now the child has broke because of mommy and daddy. Now the child has grown up to be a teenager. He has a child. He's young. He's broken. He doesn't know because he's broken. He has a child and he breaks his child. His child is broke.
That's the cycle.
He grows up to break more children. And you have brokenness, brokenness. And so at some point, yes, somebody has to be responsible for the brokenness. But if that's the case, if you're going to say that my child is broken because I broke them, then I have to be responsible. Then I would have to be responsible for being broken myself. Because I was broken. My mom was broken. She didn't have the capacity to give what she couldn't give. Therefore, I couldn't have what I needed to fully be healed. So then you're going to keep going back. How far are you going to go back before you get to the root cause? The root cause, and here's a real root cause, which I don't care what I'm on, like Dr. Mokhtarian said. And this is what she said, this comment the last time. She said, I'm gonna get her phrase right. She said, if you arrest the master, you don't have to free the slaves. This whole spirit of hate, this whole spirit of just harsh, punitive,
oppression,
oppression, all of that has been bestowed onto us as a people. It has impacted us severely, Glenn, and it has broken us in more ways than we want to even acknowledge.
I believe that 100%. But at some point in time, we have to make a decision to get whole. We have to make the decision to get healed and still live the rest of our life broken.
Absolutely.
And blaming somebody else for it.
I'm with that.
Now, is prison, let me ask Glenn, let me say this. Now, prison, right? Okay, they made them, they didn't do what they were supposed to do. Now they go to prison, right? But there's a systemic problem with now you can't get a job because of your record. Now you can't even get a passport if you owe a certain amount of child support. So they shut you out of society, even though after they push you back into society. Here's reentry now. What is reentry going to do to a hurt heart and a broken person with a reentry pass? That ain't going to help them, is what I'm saying.
What we do, I do it every day. I got 48 guys living in my house. All of them coming out of prison. Guess what? There's plenty of jobs out there, and they get them. 80% of guys.
I'm just saying. Right.
Guys in our house,
that's the punishment that they give.
Well, it's a punishment, but 80% of the guys without a house get jobs, and they turn their life around because you know what? There is a choice. Now they could live in the past and say I got a criminal record, and that be the excuse, or they could choose to live in the future and say, you know what? Because of my criminal record, I'm going to change my thinking. I'm going to change my behavior. And guess what? A year down the road, most of the people don't even know they've been in prison. Now, there's some people with the prison mentality, they don't change anything, and they keep blaming the system, and they keep going back. But like you said, Raquel, you woke up one day and say, I don't like where I am. I'm going to make a change. And that's what people need to do. Until then, we can blame the system all we want.
Right. And I mean, and most men can blame men. Listen, you know, so many times I could have bought CPS to my baby's mothers. But what would have that done? That would mess up. My child would probably be in the system somewhere.
I know a lot of men who called CPS right on the baby.
I'm talking about the women. It's so unfair to where they do things, and the man, such as me, I done had people so many times saying, man, you stupid, man. Man, you should have that woman locked up for what she's doing to her own child, which is my child.
You know what?
So I was like, wow.
You know what some men do? They don't do that, but you know what they do? They turn away and walk away and they never come back. They do just as bad. They don't turn them in, but they go down the street and start another family.
Well, put yourself in their shoes. And now, if you never in them shoes, you can't really speak for that. If you never was in those shoes, you can't really speak for that until that pressure come on you so heavy. See, you wasn't in those shoes. You was on the other end where child support was being paid to you. But now, what if you get caught up?
It's different. I had a choice. I didn't have to be a single parent. I could say, you know what? You take my kids. But I had a choice. Right. I made that choice. Men make choices every day long. They either choose to be responsible or they choose to be irresponsible.
So let me ask you this. Why did you choose to get your children? Did you not think she was capable of being the greatest mom? Did you not think your children will have just as better, equal or better quality of life with her versus you?
It had nothing to do with that. It's the fact, number one.
You just wanted to be with your children.
My kid, my one, yes. And nobody else gonna raise my kids but me. If I had anything to do with it.
And that's how I felt. I felt when there was a disconnect with me and my ex-wife, I was like, man, I told the judge, I said, Your Honor, if she's having so much problems with money and financial problems, let me get my child. Let me get my child. Nah, that was the biggest fight that I ever could have had, but I backed out of it because, okay, again, I cared more about the child's well-being, you understand, than mine.
But let me tell you something, because we had a comment on Facebook. Willie said, we do.
And I tell fathers all the time, it ain't her choice. It ain't up to her. You continue to do the fight to get joint custody of your child. Because fighting for joint custody of your child is better than sit back and say, you know what, I'm just going to let her have it.
I had joint custody. And the problem still happened.
That sister just hated you.
This is what I'm saying. I had joint custody and the problem still happened. So,
but let me ask you this. So this kind of brings me back to, like, we had a comment on Facebook. Thank you guys for all of the, that's a good question too. Willie said, before we answer that, does the system cultivate the brokenness? Which, I would say definitely yes. But there was she said we do have the capacity, like you said, Glenn, we do have the capacity, and maybe we need to just move and speak in that power, that we have the power, but maybe we need to stop saying that we don't. Black men can't, black men fatherless this, fatherless that, this, that, this, that. And like Erica James said at dinner this weekend, she said, why don't we just tap into their ability to be great and inspire the great part of them to hope, because obviously staying in the pain is not, nobody's moving that way.
Again, just like when you get a DUI, you got to go to class. You get an education. Just like when you beat your wife up, you got to go to class about anger management. You get an education about anger management. When you got to go to father forever class, you get an education about being a father. Now, the first thing the guys do, listen to this. When they come out, this is what they do when they first come to my class. They sit back like this. They're mad. They don't want to be there. They're angry. About the fourth or fifth class, they're doing like this. Mm-hmm. Because I'm touching something on the inside of them that make them realize your kid needs you. And guess what they do? By the time they graduate, they step up to the plate, they're paying their child support, and they're getting along with the ex-wife. Because somebody made them come. A court system. That's why policies needs to change to order men to come to the program, just like you ordered him to go to a domestic violence class. Order him to go to a parenting class. But not just him. Order the woman too. Because she's just as bad as he is.
Right.
True.
But those are the policies that we need to enforce, that because most of the time, men and women are not going to go unless they're made to go. These guys would not go to the child support, the anger management, unless the court says, before you got to go take this class. And there is consequences, and guess what? They come dragging and screaming. But I've taught both classes, by the time they leave, they understand how uncontrollable anger can devastate their lives and their kids' life, and their life change. That's the key.
Right.
I believe you. I mean, I'm there with it. I'm all for it. I mean, I think we probably need to analyze. We should make analyze a word. Analyze the policy agenda, because there is some policy implication that speaks right directly to that. Educate, not incarcerate fathers for failure to pay child support. You know, when they come before you with a child support matter and you see that he has no income, he should be mandated to go to a plethora of workforce development programs funded by the Department of Labor, in addition to the Fathers Forever program, because the goal should be not punitive to punish, but more repairing, more rehabilitative to help, so that he can be a better father. And I know that is right around the corner. That is one of those things. If you guys are out there saying you want to fund systemic change, you know, now that's the new damn buzzword, systemic change. I knew this shit was going on long before now, but now everybody want to do it with your economic, what they call it, I can't stand. I think there's a committee. I know that there's a committee that just does buzzwords. And now it's like everybody wants the economic, what is it, diversity and inclusion officer. Like, you got to hire somebody for this? You a fool. You and your company. But okay, you don't know no better, because your heart don't want, you know, it's a heart thing. However, economic and diversity, D&I officers, systemic change, all of the funders, the foundation people, everybody want to address systemic change, but they really don't. They really don't, because they don't even know how.
Right.
And so, you know, hopefully we'll unveil the policy piece sooner than later. But so far I got one coming up, you know, sit down at the table, come up with an agreement. You and her work together. If y'all could have worked together to get the buns. I don't even know if that's so old school, get the buns. Do they even say that anymore?
Yeah,
To keep the bun. You said don't go nowhere else. Keep it clean. Right. To get the sticky buns. You work real hard to get the sticky buns. Now you got the sticky buns. You could come to the table with some agreement, right? After that, I got number 2, at least have enough compassion for your child. Put yourself in your child's situation. The child didn't ask to be there. You put the child in this situation by you fathering that child, and then protect yourself. Then we got number 3, refer to your rights. The courts can and have in many cases help men, you know, exercise their rights as fathers. Just because if she's coming in and she's kind of manhandling the situation, controlling and saying you can't see your child, refer to the courts, because as a father, you have rights. This is mine. I said, recognize that the system is not here to help you, but will be right there should you get out of line. And should you not be able to keep your lifestyle in check and this little cordial agreement, the system is going to be right there to do what the system do. They have everything in place to manage your flesh and when it get out of control. So go ahead and put that system to work for you. You want it. Other than that, you can handle this. Like Willie said, everybody said, we have the capacity. We are more than capable of love. That's one thing I know at the end of the day, we are all capable of love. And love, perfect love, it covers a multitude of sin and everything else. I hate, just that word is like one of them old scriptures they used to beat you upside the head with at church. But we're all capable of love, real love. 5, definitely refer to Fathers Forever. It's a program that can help. Glenn, you're doing coaching not just for married couples, right?
Unmarried couples, yes.
They could just be couples or have or children together.
Yeah, separated parents who are trying to not co-parent.
Who wants to co-parent, right? And if you're young, I know we're working on our model, whereas I'm more of the prevention. I'm the pregnancy prevention. I'm like gonna help. If I can help a young mom avoid going into the welfare system, I can probably more than likely help a dad avoid the child support system. And if I can help 2 young adults avoid pregnancy before they're ready, I can help them avoid all of that heartache. And if in fact you happen to skirt through, get it? Anthony James is going to be in the middle and the intervention with the life skills, the fatherhood, just overall conflict resolution, just giving you the emotional intelligence, the wherewithal to be better, stand stronger, improve quality of life by improving the internal skills that you have. And if that is not enough, I promise you, Glenn will be at the court. When you come through the court, when homegirl put you in the court system, he gonna be right there. And that's mercy and grace catching you once again after you done fell through all these loopholes. And he gonna get you right. Now, if you happen to still not get right, you might not ever get right. And I mean, that's a nice, that's a nice paradigm of wraparound services for both youth, young adults, broken, healed, healing, that we just can't miss. We can't miss repairing, what has been broken with that model.
Glenn, what is your website if people want to go to it to look into taking your course or getting any of your books?
www.afatherforever.com.
Thank you.
afatherforever.com.
Yes, there's they can get my book from Barnes and Nobles or Amazon. Beloved's Not Enough, as well as Chat and Chew. The other book, I'm finishing up the last chapter now. I'm sending it back to them in the next couple of days. They gotta edit it, and that should be out in the next 3 weeks. And that is actually
that's the 10 Commandments.
No, that's not the 10 Commandments. That's the textbook that we're going to use for the university. Now they can go to the university to sign up for the classes. That is www.fatherforeveruniversity.com.
Is www.Fathers Forever Is it Fathers Forever University? I don't know why we can't just get that. We need to just have that.
Fathers Forever.
It's Fathers Forever, a Fathers Forever, or just a Father Forever?
Fathersforever.com.
The
first one is www.afatherforever. That's our website.
Got it.
But if you go to our main website, then you can access all the other websites. www.afatherforever.com.
Anthony, put in your website where people can find information about you and your services.
Yes, menofvisionexposed.com. That's my website. You can reach me on that.
menofvisionexposed.com. It is about that time. I always want to go. It goes by pretty fast. For these two books, these are available online, free ebooks, but you will have to pay for them on Amazon. But you can download them for free if you log on to the Billionaire. Not log on, but follow me at the Billionaire and look at my link, the Omni link, and under free downloads, you will get those two books. Good read. Shout out to Charles Griffin out there. He actually helped me turn these raw emotional books into pieces of art. So I cannot forget Charles Griffin out there. Brilliant editor, brilliant writer. He is out there somewhere doing good things, I pray. So next week, what we have, hopefully, prayerfully, Dr. Mukhtarian will be in the building. We're doing the Judge Wu presiding. That's what we're going to name these next series, because we have a couple of men coming to the court. And so we're going to kind of reenact these court scenes. And I think Anthony James is going to be like the district attorney, the attorney that nobody never can get. He's gonna plead the cases so well. He's gonna try his best. And Glenn Warren gonna be the prosecutor. He coming for you. He coming for you. And I might just be that. I'm gonna be that baby mama from hell. I'm gonna just go in, and then you're gonna have Dr. Mukhtarian as a judge, and she's gonna come and, we're gonna have spectacles.
Somebody play the role as a father.
Yeah, that she gonna bring the man. She's gonna bring the men that's gonna have their role.
Now, what am I playing? I'm playing what?
You're like the DA, not the prosecutor, not the prosecutor. You're the attorney. So you're gonna be the hired attorney that's gonna sit and talk with the guy to find out what his situation is. Right. He's gonna explain to us what, the situation he got going on with the mom, and I'm gonna come in and play that mom. But you're going to be the attorney that he can't afford, but you're going to show up anyway. And Glenn is going to be the prosecutor that's going to see to it that, he gets the maximum extent. Now, I'm not going to say Glenn has to put him in jail.
He's going to be defending the father.
Huh?
He's going to be defending the fathers?
Yes. He's defending them. You prosecuting them.
Okay.
You're the prosecutor.
I'm coming for you, Anthony. I'm coming for you.
Listen, man. I'm gonna do how they did me.
What?
Huh?
No,
No, I'm saying the defendant, attorneys and stuff like that, they're for the client. So at the end of the day, yeah, I'm gonna.
Glenn is gonna come. Glenn gonna come. I
already know.
Listen, we got the gavel.
Because you already know how to court. You got the gavel right there.
Got the cat. All rise. The Honorable Judge Mukhtarian in session. Yes, we got it all. We ready. We just don't know who.
Because really, Raquel, all what happens is that the lawyer, the defense lawyers, they all working with the court system anyway.
Yeah, we know that. But don't you dare say that. Don't you dare. Now you part of the system, so you got to act your part. Don't you ain't free to
I'm gonna work. I'm working with the system. I'm just gonna tell you, listen, how much money do you have?
Yep. Better have some.
That's not funny.
Look at Glenn. Glenn say you better have some.
Have some.
You better have some.
Not in the morning.
Did we ever make our 100 subscribers? For the love of the Lord.
Dang.
Listen. We was up to 97 subscribers. I promise you, we only needed like 3 more. And then I done put another email out, text out, and half of them unsubscribed by accident.
Wow.
I was like, geez, whiz. Can we get this together?
If you are on this live right now on Facebook, if you have not liked our YouTube page, write in the comments. I posted the link to our YouTube page.
Hey, y'all. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. It's always a pleasure. I'm going to definitely get my little applause cracking going on, because it is always a pleasure to be in a room with just greatness. I really admire the work that you guys do, even though, these conversations get me a little heated and I get a little passionate. I feel my blood boil just a little bit today. But it's all good. All right, you guys, thank
Yeah.
you for tuning in. You guys, same
All right.
time, same place.
All right.
next week.
Have a
Talk to you
good
later.
night.
Good night.
All right.